Bachelor of Computer Science, right, has the overall highest average and median starting pay in Singapore. How did you know you wanted to go into computing and computer science specifically?
I think my first choice back then was to apply for engineering.
So far, after 3 years, you regret or don't regret?
I do not regret it.
Imagine I'm a secondary school student. Explain what computer science is to you. Do you feel like people also generally tend to be a bit more particular about the kind of jobs that they pick?
I think there's not really a shortage of CS related jobs.
Correct.
But there are a shortage of CS related jobs in high profile companies.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Youth Tea Party, the show where we spill the tea on all things youth. We are not a political party and have no interest in running for office. University Major Series. In this series, I go around talking to students of different majors in universities and we ask burning questions like, are there nice people in my major? Can my major get me a good job? Are there good-looking people in my major? Are the professors nice? Today, we talk to one of the rising majors in Singapore. You know, last time when people say, oh, the IT guy, nowadays people say, the IT guy. Computer science, computing in general, has been rising a lot since, I would say, 1 decade ago. And now, even NTU, for example, Nanyang Technological University, they've built a whole new school of computing and data science, I think. So today I have here with me Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas.
Hello.
Nicholas is from computer science, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you know, Nicholas, I want to start with a very interesting statistic. This is according to the NUS and MOE Graduate Employment Survey, right? And it's found that Bachelor of Computer Science, right, has the overall highest average and median starting pay in Singapore. How do you feel about that?
Wow.
Stress or not?
I feel like I have yet to live up to that expectation.
You're
statistic.
You're not done yet, ma. You still have a year, but does that make y'all feel more stressed? It's like, does that make y'all feel like, wow, if I can't get a job that is anywhere near this number, right, I feel like damn loogie.
Actually, I believe that while that statistic is indeed a very high number, from the people around me, I tend to think that the average is actually much lower than the global statistic, for Singapore itself. Yeah.
Then why do you think the statistics are as such? Cannot be wrong, ma.
Well, in a major computer science, I think there are a few roles that tend to have extremely high salaries. Yeah. So I think that those could be causing the data to skew a little bit. Yeah. I
see. So you will always have maybe 5% of the cohort that go on to do super good jobs.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Do you know what's the highest paying employer out there? I don't know, I'm asking.
I'm not too aware myself, but I think there are some firms those are quantitative finance firms, Optiver, Jane Street.
Okay.
So I do hear that they tend to pay quite highly, quite well.
And I'm sure also ByteDance and I don't know, maybe Shopee? I don't know.
Yeah, those are quite famous as well.
Quite famous,
amongst
right?
The CS cohort.
Yeah. So one thing I'm quite curious, right, is that in secondary school, in JC, there's no computer science. How did you know you wanted to go into computing and computer science specifically? Yeah, was it societal pressure? Was it this? Was it that? Was it your parents or whatever? Was it intrinsic?
I think when I first was presented with the decision to choose my major, I wasn't even aware of computer science as a degree.
Yeah.
Back then, I feel like a lot of people were very interested to go to engineering courses.
Yeah.
So for example, the Renaissance engineering program in NTU, I think that was quite sought after. And I think my first choice back then was to apply for engineering because of, you can say peer pressure and whatnot. My parents also said that engineering would be a good course for me. So as to how I ended up learning about computer science was because during some time in my BMT, I started to hear quite a lot of great things about this course. There's a lot of people making a lot of money, there's high salaries, and it's quite stable and it's up and coming. So I decided to give it a try. without going much further into it. So you could think of it as like I was not aware what I was in for when I came to CS.
Phew.
Yeah. and like many people, I think like they're just in the course because of their peers going, for the course, and their parents maybe telling them that this might be a good industry to go into.
So thanks for that. I think that's very honest. And I think we like honesty here. Long story short, in a word, so far after 3 years, you regret or don't regret?
I do not regret it.
You really fell in love with it in a sense.
I would say it's like a love-hate relationship with CS. Like
Sure.
I find myself suffering many sleepless nights because of CS. But at the same time, I feel like the work that I do is so rewarding sometimes. Yeah. And
why is it rewarding?
because as a person who likes challenges, right, I think like this course really gives me a lot of opportunity to challenge myself in many different ways, like to be able to think very deeply and to be able to work with like many people on different kinds of projects. And I feel like this major has really enabled me to like discover more about this aspect of myself, like, like being able to develop software, like, create designs and, make things that people actually use. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't in a course that was as technical as CS.
I see. So the technical, the course is really pretty technical lah. As in you really learn technical skills, software, this, that.
Yeah, it's quite technical.
Okay.
I would say like overly technical.
Overly
in fact.
technical.
Yeah.
What does overly technical mean?
So like for computer science as a course, like we learn a lot of theory. Like we learn a lot about algorithms, and oftentimes like the hands-on aspects are not really covered. So they sort of let you like learn all these on your own. But that being said, like those theoretical aspects that we learn are also quite crucial to the foundation and to our growth. But I do sometimes suffer because of how theoretical CS can be sometimes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine I'm a secondary school student. Explain what computer science is to me.
I would say, okay, so think of the games that you play on your phone.
Yeah.
Think of like the apps that you use to order food, right? Like the apps that you use to buy things online and your social media. So all of those actually run on computers, right? Like your phone is a little computer, and they have programs on them.
Yeah.
And these programs have to be developed by a group of people, and these group of people are people who sort of have knowledge in the field of computer science. So they develop softwares, and then because of that, they leverage like the network effects of all these devices to create something that can actually help you with your life. I think that's about it. So like computer scientists are basically the people who, work to develop, new different algorithms. Yeah, there's like the field of research, there's a field of like building softwares, and yeah, I hope this is not too technical for a secondary school student.
No, I think yeah, I mean you explained that it's for primarily one of the things is like app development, software development. I think that works. Which brings me to my next question, right? So in the computing degree, right, there are many majors. Right, there's computer science, there's computer engineering, information security, information systems, business analytics. Wow, a lot. Do you all take a core curriculum, or you all don't?
There is a core curriculum.
Okay,
yeah.
what does the core curriculum teach? Like
the core curriculum mostly like centers around like the most famous course is the programming methodology course.
So the CS 1010.
Yeah, like CS 1010, CS 1101. So all those courses like really are like, for many people, they are very first introduction to programming. And I think it's more functional programming. So there's also another course which is like on object-oriented programming. So all these programming methodology courses from the bedrock of the core courses. There's also one more course that I think all of these courses have to take, which is the data structures and algorithms module.
I see.
Yeah.
So if computer science is about programming and like maybe app development, right, software development, then what is computer engineering, hardware?
I believe that computer engineering should be more tied to hardware, but they also do have quite a bit of overlap with computer science. I think computer engineering is definitely more like hardware focused in terms of like you can be able to like program like circuits, like you learn how these you can learn about robotics. Yeah, like yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And then information security is is what it suggests lah. It's about protecting data. I don't know what else is there?
So there's like information systems,
Yeah.
information security.
Yeah.
I think all of those are like there's also some overlap with CS, but they also think about the business aspect. So in the business aspect, they will probably learn like trade-offs. Like if I were to build like a ERP system for a company, then here's what would be beneficial and here's what wouldn't. Here's what would be too expensive to implement and whatnot. And I think that all of these majors, like they are not really mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
There's actually tons of overlap, and I've seen people from different courses actually end up, going to roles like that would, you normally assume to be for the other course.
I see. Okay, so ideally it's a kind of specialization, but at the end of the day, all these specializations overlap to some extent also lah.
Yeah.
Fair. Then what is business analytics doing in the computing department?
Business analytics, I think it's quite up and coming recently.
Yeah.
Business analytics, as far as I'm aware, because like I have not really seen their curriculum, but I think it's very data heavy. So they do a lot of like data processing, statistics, and at the same time, I think they also do learn a little bit of like business and economics on the side.
I see. So like data-driven business lah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, data-driven business.
I see.
Right.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I can see why it's very popular lah, because nowadays, with the tech industry and all the startups and everything, right? They have a lot of opportunities for these kinds of things lah. Very interesting. So how is CS like in NUS? What's the community like?
In terms of community, I would say that like CS students are some of the more genuine people that I've seen. Yeah, in NUS, I think that like the community tends to be very supportive.
Okay.
Like our course is challenging, but like everyone seems to be willing to help each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. So what, like really, if you are struggling with certain work and coursework or whatever, people are willing to like sit down, discuss it with you and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think like it's one of those courses where like collaboration is everywhere, because like sometimes like concepts might be hard to grasp, and like projects, sometimes we are allowed to work like in pairs or in groups for projects. And I think that to be able to leverage this, be able to work together, like really helps us improve, and communicate technically. It's really one of the, like collaboration is one of the biggest things I enjoy about being around CS students.
Nice. How are the professors?
So personally, right, I actually have not had like one-on-one interactions with my CS professors before.
How come?
I don't attend my lectures in person. So
Oh, so it's all recorded lah.
So I guilty of just attending recorded lectures, not even attending, like just viewing recorded lectures online and at my own pace. So that's
but it's going well for you lah so far.
It's okay. Like I feel like, because I don't stay on campus, like sometimes it might be hard to keep up with the lectures in person. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but I do think that attending lectures has its users lah. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I'm in no position to say whether you should attend or not, but I personally feel that attending lectures is quite useful. Yeah, especially when you build up a community of learning, right? So if you don't attend lectures and you don't come often, how do you build up that community of friends?
So normally like we have tutorials, right?
Yeah.
And we have like projects. So it's normally through these that we get the opportunity to work on.
Okay, so you have
things.
tutorials also lah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay, so you don't interact with your professors that much, but surely you have a favorite course so far, right? That you've taken.
A favorite CS course?
Yeah.
I actually quite enjoy the teaching style of the programming methodology courses.
Okay.
So I would say like the professors like Martin Hans, then Professor Boyd, like teaching all those programming courses, like I think they are really engaging, and the way they teach is like they really leverage like different kinds of online tools to help you learn and grade. Yeah, so it makes things very efficient also. Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about internships, right? Just now. Yourself, have you done many internships?
I've done about 3 internships since I came into NUS.
Jeez, that's a lot. That's like virtually one every year lah.
So about once a year. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're currently on internship as well, right?
Yep, that's right.
What do you do in your internship now?
So in my current internship I'm a software engineer. So I basically write software, write tests, and for now I'm actually focusing more on like front end development. So our job is to integrate, with the back end, design new screens and all of that. Yeah.
I see. So it's like the user interface almost.
Yeah, user interface. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's quite interesting. Oh, very interesting. What is the biggest struggle that you've had thus far as a computer science major?
So I feel like if you're in CS, right, there's some expectations of you, right? Like, you have to get a certain job. Yeah, you have to do this amount of projects, internships, all of that. So one thing that I struggle with at first when I came in to this course was that I felt like I needed to have, all of those. It's like as if there's a checklist of things that you must do before you are, considered like an actual like CS student.
Yeah.
Alongside with the fact that the courses can be really theoretical and very, very, they can be very, very intense. So that, along with the fact that, you have many other things to worry about, like for your career, I think was something I really struggled with back when I haven't really like worked out what my future, what I want to do for my future career.
Have you worked it out already now?
I would say I'm not too certain on what I want to do just yet, but I've sort of like come to terms with like, like everyone's different and like everyone has like a different path that they walk on. So like as long as I'm happy walking my current path, right? Like I think that should be all that matters, right? Like it shouldn't be about like, comparing yourself to others. And and I feel like that's something that like I feel like a lot of juniors who come into CS like they tend to be very enthusiastic about achieving all of these things. And like while it's like definitely possible, it's also important to like understand more about like yourself, like what do you want in your career, because ultimately like this is something you'd be doing for maybe the next like 50 years of not 50 years, maybe like 40 years of your life. And you definitely want to choose something that you'd feel like, oh, this is something I can do every day and this is what makes me fulfilled.
So you spoke a lot about making sure you're happy. You spoke a lot about computer science majors having a lot of pressure, right, to live up to a certain expectation, right? I guess because of all the tech boom and everything now, right? So I want to ask you, right, in terms of your journey, your pathway, your plan forward, you said just now that you still haven't figured out what you want to do yet and everything, right? So in terms of your internship planning, for example, the past 3 internships that you've had, including the one now, how did you plan? Did you just like, oh, I'll just take whatever comes to me, whatever I have, or did you plan specifically for different kinds of internships? Like, what was the thought process like?
Thought process wise, right? I feel like I don't really have a trajectory for my internships.
Okay.
So it's actually it also wholly depends on like whether I'm able to get the internship in the first place, right? And I think like that's one of the biggest challenges is like first getting the internship, and then maybe if you get like 2 or 3 offers, you'd have to decide like which one is the best for you. So that requires like another line of another time to think, like.
But how do you decide which is the best for you?
I feel like for internships, it should be trying to expose yourself to different areas. So it might be areas in the same field, but if you expose yourself on different fronts, you would know like what you might be missing out on, or like you would know like, oh, this job isn't for me. So to try out different roles, I think that's how I go about like choosing internships.
Oh, tell us in more precise terms the various areas that you've already done an internship on.
So currently I'm focusing more on like front-end development.
Yeah.
And in my previous role, it was quite heavy on the back-end development. And there was also one internship where I did like a little bit of product management also.
Okay.
So that was a bit more like people-facing. Like you don't really talk very much to like, to people on most of the other jobs like software engineering. So I feel like I wanted to expose myself on that front as well, just to see like whether I like it or not.
Do you think that most people are this pragmatic? Like, oh, it's like I need to do A, then B, then C, tick all the boxes, everything. Because you just said just now you want to be happy, right? So I don't know, is this a little bit of an irony, or are you happy doing it like that?
I feel like okay, so there's like two ways that I view like internships. Like definitely internships play a very big part in helping you build your career, but at the same time, right, like they also have to be able to fulfill the modules, the school's graduation requirements, right? So as CS students, like we have to have certain internships in certain areas that align very closely to the major that we have. So I feel like it's really trying to find the middle ground. Like, is this something that you can envision yourself doing? And is this something that also adheres to the graduation requirements? Right. So I feel like that sometimes, can be a hard decision to make. But how I take it is that, like, as long as I'm open and willing to try it, and I feel like I don't necessarily dislike what I do, it's a good internship for me. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's quite a positive attitude lah. In terms of employability, right? So the statistics say that, it's the highest pay lah, this lah, that lah. But what's the reality like? So your peers around you or your seniors, what's the employability like? Are people going into, so-called dream jobs, good jobs? Or is it because they are now stuck in the computer science field, right? That they just go on to jobs that they don't like? What's the situation like on the ground?
I feel like in the recent year, like it's gotten a bit hard for CS graduates or even like commuting students to find internships. So I feel like this is something that only recently started to happen. There were quite a bit of layoffs happening at different tech companies. So I think that right now the industry is starting to, you can say, shrink or like slow down a little bit, because I think there was a period of time where there was a huge boom in the number of CS jobs. So at this point, like I have felt it myself, especially in like when I applied to different roles. And for my peers, it's like they do face difficulties. But that being said, like there's still quite a few people who were probably secured like their dream jobs as well. So it's just more of the fact that like there's a huge surplus of CS graduates that are trying to apply for the very few positions that are open, and possibly diminishing positions. Yeah.
And also, do you think like what you said just now, right? Because, I'm in CS, I have a certain reputation to live up to. Do you feel like people also generally tend to like be a bit more particular about the kind of jobs that they pick? So actually, maybe in terms of absolute number, right, there are jobs, but there are a lot of jobs that are not so glamorous or don't pay that well for a start also. Do you think that there's a little bit of a mentality like that?
There is definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think like there's not really a shortage of CS related jobs.
Correct.
But there are a shortage of of CS related jobs in high profile companies.
Correct.
So that is currently what I'm observing. It's that actually there are definitely roles out there for like, especially like, SMEs and small like startups, that they are very willing to hire developers and all that. But at the same time, I do see that many of the CS students, they tend to want to choose those like more glamorous firms, right? But I can understand why, because definitely it looks much better on the resume, right? So there's definitely that mentality, I feel.
So it's very interesting, right? So it's like these problems really quite interesting and quite endemic to computer science or computing graduates, right? It's like that reputation that everyone is saying, those unicorn companies, those big companies, those giant startups and everything. It's not easy lah, to be honest, I think. And I hope that people are more open to trying a variety of jobs lor. But other than like the so-called computing jobs, right? Do you see computer science majors going on to do other kinds of jobs?
Definitely, yeah.
Have, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, like what have you seen in your circle?
So like they go on to become like, product managers, for example. Like they could go on to become like startup founders of their own, So there are really so many things that you can do. I think just like any degree, right? It's just what you decide to do with it. Like, you can choose pretty much any career path that you're happy with.
Yeah, agree. Thank you very much for being here. Please support Nicholas as he continues his journey, and please support us as well. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can deliver more content and get more people like Nicholas on the show. Thank you and bye.